I was so excited to arrive here in Berlin. Last time I was here was 1987, and that's before the Berlin Wall came down. So I'm here for a couple of days to retrace my steps and show you around. We're going to have a look on the other side of that infamous wall where I stayed the last time I was here. Last time I stayed here, I stayed in the east, the communist bit, and I'm keen to see what's happened to that wall now and what's happened to the hotel I stayed in. It was a fabulous place. More on that later in the video. Then, to spoil our fun, it rained. So we just joined in with all the other soggy tourists, and what we're doing, splodging our way from place to place. Well, to entertain ourselves and keep out of the rain, we found ourselves in the Mall of Berlin. That's basically a great big shopping centre. I don't really like shopping, but at least it was dry. There we are, still hiding from the rain. We're now in the Mall of Berlin, big shopping centre, which is a great light. It's actually Saturday, it's packed with people all hiding from the rain and decided to come for a Saturday to shop. Well, fed up of being soggy, we found our way back to our hotel. It's a quite nice, reasonably priced hotel, right in the heart of the city, so it was a good location for tourism. So I thought you might like a quick look around. It's called the Titanic Comfort Mitte Hotel in the centre of Berlin. It seems quite nice, clean, quite a nice little room, but it is a bit on the small side. But all the rooms here in Berlin do seem to be a bit small unless you go on the outskirts of the city, which we didn't want to do. So. What do you think? Well, hello and welcome to Berlin. We're now absolutely, I think, in the centre. As you can see here, there's loads and loads of things to see. Berlin really does have many places to visit for the tourist. In particular, there's lots of art galleries and museums, etc. And universities which are dedicated to the arts. There's just so much to see and do, I can't see how anybody would get bored. This is a moment when I really wish that I paid attention when I went to night school to learn German. Quite frankly, I'm reading all the German signs here and I can't pronounce any of them, so I will look them up later and probably put them at the bottom or tell you on a voiceover. But yeah, very fascinating place, quite interesting. This square here, not far from Brandenburg Gate. As you may remember, Berlin came under heavy attack during World War II, and they've left some of the building with the scars of the shrapnel and bullet holes as a reminder.
There has been extensive reconstruction, modernisation and expansion here.
This is what you're going to have if you bring back your Sunday trading doors. Those shops are not opening here in Berlin. It used to be in the UK, but everybody seems to come out and party and enjoy the sunshine instead. Well, sort of, it's a pretty good idea, really. Well, the sun's come out today, so I thought I'd treat us to a boat trip. A great way to take in some of the sights.
Herzlich willkommen hier an. Kurz vorweg, ist jemand an Bord, der die Kommentare verfolgt ist, was der on the floors of the building should be very. So, damit auch den Gegenwärtigen der Situation. 1987 letzten Level der
Steve.
Auf dem Studio, das ist das deutsche Bild. Und natürlich danach aus der Parlament erst Gebäude der Hintermauer der Westhaltung der Nationalisierung auf der Linie, Russland, Schottland, Pennsylvania. Das die Leute an unveränderliche So I would get red shirt painted with the hundreds of clouds. That's coming from the right side and that camera.
We're going to the museum, the DDR museum. There was quite a queue to get in, and I found it a little bit expensive. Inside I found it smaller than I was expecting, and a lot of the area is a little bit dark, so it made it difficult for me to film. Some of the displays of the rooms that were around when East Germany was about had wallpaper on them, which was very similar to the wallpaper I had on my flat when I first got married. The Trabant was the only car that East Berliners were allowed to buy, and then you had to be somebody. The model here depicts the 100 yards that people had to cross if they wanted to get from East to West Berlin. Sadly, over 1,000 people died in the attempt. That must be the teapot. Welcome to Berlin and a good old English cup of tea. Hey!
It's a very beautiful place.
Delicious. After a fair old walk, we've finally found it. Now called the Westin Grand. Before it was the just the Grand, I think. Okay, let's go and look inside. I stayed here to visit an electronics fair going on in West Berlin. We stayed here by invitation from the Nordmender Electronics Company. If you're English, they took over the Ferguson Company. I don't know why, but they decided it was a good idea to let us stay in this lovely hotel in East Berlin. We are inside the Grand Hotel in what was East Berlin. This hotel, when I came here in, I think, 1988, was literally a couple of years old, and it was back in the days when this was East Germany and very, very communist at the time. It was the poshest hotel in East Germany at the time, and it literally only been open a couple of years when we came here, and it was built by the East German government. Staying here meant we had to go back and forth every day, passing through Checkpoint Charlie, showing our passports and getting them stamped. Yeah, no, we found it. I've been searching through. We come down from Brandenburg Gate. Bit of a walk for me nowadays, but not too far really, and it was quite interesting. It's Sunday, a lot of people having a few beers, so that's what the shouting is in the background. But then as it's in German, I hope it's not rude, but I don't understand a word of it. This is not the History Channel, but I need to explain to you a little bit about the Berlin Wall and Checkpoint Charlie. So to make things a little more interesting, I have enlisted Hannah, who's going to hold up a map. After the Allied forces won World War II, Germany was split into East and West, leaving the capital Berlin like an island in the middle of Russian-controlled East Germany. Berlin was then divided up itself. The Berlin Wall was erected and was a barrier that divided Berlin from 1961 to 1989, built by the communist East German government, the DDR, to prevent East Berliners from fleeing to the west. Checkpoint Charlie was the famous crossing point in the Berlin Wall, used primarily by foreigners to cross into East Berlin and East Germany. All the stuff that spy books and films are made of. Right, we finally made it to Checkpoint Charlie. Can't remember which is the east and which is the west, but when I came through here before, it was loads of soldiers everywhere, checking your passport, checking that you haven't taken any money from the east out to the west. But this was a double-sided checkpoint with the US one side and the East German, DDR the other. I'll show you a picture of my passport with all its stamps there. As you can see it now, this whole street, where I'm about to get run over if I stay where I am, this whole street was in fact really the checkpoint. So one end would be where the wall met the buildings, the other end would be where the barbed wire was, and the bit in the middle was the US Army checkpoint here, it says, and then the other side, which would have been West Berlin, and then the other side would have been the DDR, which was East Berlin. So as you can see behind me, you can see this whole street. We came down with our coach, it was stopped, they put mirrors underneath the coach to check there's nobody hiding in underneath.
Don't you want a bat like this? Why not?
This is the Brandenburg Gate, which is an 18th century Prussian monument in actual fact, but it seemed to form a gate between the east and the west side of the city, although when I was here last it was covered in barbed wire and manned by soldiers. We're now in the east side. There's something going on. I'm not sure whether it's a protest or an event, but there are hundreds and hundreds of police here. So now let's go and see what's left of the Berlin Wall. So this is what's left of the Berlin Wall, and they've re-erected it here. Once it all got knocked down, then everybody went crazy and knocked down, I think it's 89 kilometres of this wall. It's not that tall really, but it's obviously this is the western side where you were allowed to walk up and touch it. You certainly weren't allowed the other side because you had to stay away about 100 metres, I think they said it was. Basically, once it was knocked down, they rebuilt one here. This is not on its original place, and then put graffiti and then art over it. So it's now been named the Eastside Gallery, which is basically, I think it's about a mile long of what was the Berlin Wall. Touching it up against it. You were allowed to do that in the good old days. If you were on this side, that's the west, you certainly weren't allowed to do it if you were on the east. Some look like advertising hoardings, where others look like a load of kids did it. But it is, as I say, it's really impressive. And what else to say, really? It's a long old wall with lots and lots of art, and it's quite good. I think Banksy's missing out. He needs to get one stuck up here soon.
Leave it all in the city, taste my lips out in the rain. I know it's such a pity, your face is as pretty as your name. Though it hurts to leave, I'm telling you,